In a country where women spend billions annually on fashion, cosmetics, social media presence, and personal freedom, there exists a community of women living by rules so different from mainstream American life that most people cannot believe they are real. These are not women from another century or another continent. They live in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and across the American Midwest right now, today, in 2025, driving horse-drawn buggies past the same highways where cars do 70 miles an hour. They shop at some of the same stores you shop at. Their children breathe the same air yours do. And yet the rules governing every dimension of their daily lives, from the moment they wake up to the moment they close their eyes at night, belong to a world so removed from modern American experience that understanding them requires setting aside nearly everything you assume about what it means to be a woman in this country. What makes Amish women's lives genuinely fascinating is not just what they cannot do. It is why they do not do it, and what they say about the life they have chosen when outsiders are honest enough to ask. The answers are more complicated and more interesting than either the romanticized version or the critical version that tends to dominate outside commentary. These are women with specific beliefs, specific reasons, and in many cases, a specific contentment that people living with unlimited choices find genuinely difficult to explain. Here are 13 rules that Amish women follow every single day, and why each one will make you think differently about the life you are living. Rule number 1, no makeup or jewelry, including on their wedding day. The American cosmetics industry generates over $50 billion a year from women who purchase foundation, lipstick, mascara, and everything else the beauty industry tells them they need to be presentable to the world. Amish women contribute exactly $0 to that number. Not because they cannot afford it, because the rule is absolute, and the reasoning behind it is theological. Wearing makeup or jewelry, including a wedding ring, is considered a form of pride. Pride in Amish theology is not just a character flaw. It is the original sin, the root from which every other failing grows. Drawing attention to your physical appearance through artificial enhancement places the self above the community and above God. The principle behind this rule is called demut, which translates as humility. It governs not just how Amish women dress, but how they move through every interaction of their lives. What strikes most outsiders is not the absence of lipstick. It is watching an Amish bride on her wedding day, one of the most significant moments of a woman's life in any culture, presenting her face to the world exactly as it naturally appears, without a single cosmetic enhancement of any kind. No foundation, no mascara, nothing. The face that marries is the face she was born with, and to the Amish, that is not a deficit. That is the point. Rule number 2, their daughters' dolls have no faces. This is the rule that stops most people cold when they first encounter it, because the image is so striking and so unexpected. Walk into an Amish home and look at the toys the little girls play with. The dolls are handmade from cloth, dressed in miniature versions of the same plain clothing their mothers wear, and where a face should be, there is nothing. Blank fabric, no eyes, no mouth, no painted features of any kind. This is not an unfinished product. It is a deliberate theological statement rooted in the biblical commandment against creating graven images. The Amish believe that fashioning a human face, even on a toy, encroaches on God's exclusive role as the creator of human life. The faceless doll teaches a child something before she is old enough to articulate it. Character is what matters, not appearance. What a person does and who a person is carry infinitely more weight than what they look like. The Doll Without a Face is a lesson about identity, delivered in cloth and thread to a child who has not yet learned to read. Rule number 3. A prayer covering is worn from waking until sleeping, without exception. The white cap that Amish women wear is not an accessory, and it is not optional. It is a mandatory religious garment worn by every baptized Amish woman every waking hour of every day, without exception. During fieldwork, during childbirth, during illness, during the preparation of food, the washing of clothes, the tending of animals, the cap stays on. What most outsiders do not know is that the visible prayer covering is actually pinned to a second covering underneath, typically a fine mesh cap that controls the hair beneath. The system is layered and deliberate, engineered to ensure that not a single strand of hair escapes during the physical demands of a full Amish workday. The style and dimensions of the cap vary subtly between different Amish settlements, and those subtle variations function as a visual identifier. An experienced observer can determine which specific community an Amish woman belongs to based solely on the shape of her cap. In a culture that deliberately eliminates individual distinctiveness, the community identifier built into the cap is one of the most sophisticated social signaling systems most outsiders have never thought to notice. Rule number 4. Wedding dresses are never white and are worn for life. The entire visual language of a Western wedding is built around white. White dress, white flowers, white cake. The white wedding is so culturally embedded that most people have never stopped to ask where it came from, or whether it means what they think it means. Amish brides have never participated in that tradition and have no intention of starting. Amish wedding dresses come in blue, green, burgundy, or purple. They contain no lace, no beading, no train, no veil, and no ornamentation of any kind. They look almost identical to the bride's regular church dress, except for their new color. And that is entirely intentional, because the wedding dress does not retire after the ceremony. It becomes the woman's Sunday church dress for the remainder of her married life, worn every other week for worship across decades of marriage. Many Amish brides sew their own wedding dresses themselves, investing weeks of labor into a garment they will wear hundreds of times. When an Amish woman dies, she is typically buried in that same dress, the one she wore to marry and wore to church for 30 or 40 years afterward. No garment in modern American life carries that kind of weight across a lifetime. Rule number 5. Women do not work outside the home. More than 70% of American women with children participate in the workforce. The conversation around that number involves career fulfillment, economic necessity, gender equity, and the ongoing negotiation of domestic labor that defines modern partnership. Amish women are not part of that conversation. Their work is centered entirely around the homestead, and it has been for 300 years, and no outside cultural movement has changed it. Before anyone concludes that Amish women simply do less, consider what a typical Amish woman's day actually contains. She wakes before 5 in the morning. She milks cows. She prepares 3 full meals from scratch for a family that often includes 6, 8, or 10 children. She washes clothing by hand. She tends a garden large enough to supply the family's vegetables for an entire year. She cans hundreds of jars of produce during harvest season. She sews every garment her family wears. She cleans a home without the electric appliances that make modern cleaning faster. Some Amish women run small home-based businesses selling quilts, baked goods or handmade goods, but those enterprises are built around the homestead and remain secondary to domestic responsibilities. What is most difficult for modern observers to process is that the majority of Amish women do not describe this life as oppressive. They were raised watching their mothers live it and their grandmothers before them. They understand their domestic work as a sacred calling rather than a limitation imposed from outside. The framework is simply different, not identical to the modern framework with some pieces removed, but genuinely different in its starting premises about what a woman's life is for. Rule number 6, no photographs ever under any circumstances. The average American takes somewhere north of 1,500 photographs per year. Amish women will go their entire lives, from birth until burial, without a single photograph of themselves. The prohibition comes from the same theological source as the faceless doll, the biblical commandment against graven images, and it is applied with the same consistency. Family portraits are forbidden. Being photographed by tourists is a serious violation. There are no exceptions for special occasions, no graduation photos, no wedding portraits, no images of a woman holding her newborn child. Consider what this actually means at the level of lived experience. Most Amish women have never seen their own face as others see it. Amish homes contain small hand mirrors for practical grooming, not the full-length mirrors that populate most modern bedrooms and bathrooms. A woman goes through her entire life without ever knowing precisely how she appears to the people around her, without ever seeing her own expression when she laughs, without ever watching herself age across decades the way the rest of us do through old photographs. When an Amish woman dies, she leaves behind no visual record of her existence. Her quilts, her preserved foods, her garden, her children, and the memories of the people who loved her are the only evidence that she was here. In a culture that is increasingly defined by documentation and visual legacy, that is one of the most profound differences imaginable. Rule number 7, buttons are restricted or forbidden entirely. This is the rule that makes most outsiders laugh until they understand it, and then think about it for a long time afterward. Buttons on women's clothing are either severely restricted or completely forbidden across most Amish communities. Hooks and eyes and straight pins replace them as fasteners, hidden inside the garment and invisible to any observer. The historical reasoning traces back to the association between buttons and military uniforms in 17th century Europe, when plain communities were first forming their identity, in deliberate contrast to the violence and pageantry of the surrounding culture. Buttons were also considered decorative, which placed them in the same category as jewelry. The practical reality of living without buttons is something most people have never had to consider. Dressing yourself and your children for a full day of physical labor using only straight pins requires a specific skill and a specific patience. Getting it wrong means a pin comes loose at the wrong moment. Getting it right every morning across a lifetime becomes a kind of fluency in a language that the modern world has entirely forgotten. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which of these rules surprised you most? We are just getting started, because the remaining 6 rules go even deeper into a world that is hiding in plain sight, right beside our own. Rule number 8. Hair is never cut from birth until death. The American hair care industry extracts over $55,000 from the average woman across her lifetime through haircuts, coloring, styling products, and salon visits. Amish women spend nothing, not because they lack access, but because cutting a single inch of hair from the day they are born until the day they are buried is considered a direct violation of biblical instruction. The passage from 1 Corinthians stating that a woman's hair is her glory is not treated as metaphor or cultural context in Amish theology. It is treated as instruction. The result is that most Amish women carry hair reaching well past their waists, hair that has never encountered scissors, dye, a curling iron, or a blow dryer. Hair that no outsider ever sees because it is parted precisely down the middle, gathered into a tight bun, and covered completely by the prayer cap every waking hour. The paradox is striking. A woman's hair is described as her glory, and that glory is permanently hidden from public view. Within the Amish framework, that paradox resolves cleanly. The glory belongs to God and to her husband, not to the world outside her home. Rule number 9. Complete submission to her husband in all things. Amish marriage vows include the word obey in a sense that is not ceremonial, it is operational. The husband is the unquestioned head of the household. His decisions on matters large and small are final. This includes relocating the family, major financial decisions, community involvement, and daily household management. In areas where modern couples negotiate and compromise across kitchen tables and in marriage counseling offices, Amish wives are expected to yield. Amish women do not vote on church matters. When the community makes important decisions, only the men cast votes. The most honest thing that can be said about this rule is also the most uncomfortable for outside observers. Many Amish women do not experience this arrangement as oppression because they were not raised with a competing framework to measure it against. Their mothers lived this way. Their grandmothers lived this way. The arrangement is not a cage they were placed into. It is the water they have always swum in. And the question of whether the water is good or bad depends entirely on premises about human flourishing that Amish theology and modern individualism answer in completely opposite directions. Rule number 10. Handmade clothing only, governed by precise community standards. Every garment an Amish woman wears was made by hand, from fabric selected according to community guidelines covering acceptable colors, textures, hem lengths, sleeve designs, and fastening methods. A single dress requires 3 to 4 yards of fabric and between 5 and 7 hours of sewing time. Most Amish women own 3 or 4 everyday dresses and 1 Sunday dress, representing over 20 hours of labor just to assemble a basic functional wardrobe. Girls begin learning to sew by watching their mothers and grandmothers. By 12, most can construct a complete dress from memory, cutting directly from fabric without a paper pattern. The uniformity this creates is total, but experienced observers can identify which specific settlement an Amish woman belongs to based on subtle variations in shade, apron width, and cap style that outsiders would never notice without years of careful observation. Rule number 11. No higher education beyond 8th grade. Amish children attend school until about 14 years old, and then formal education ends. For girls, this means transitioning immediately into full domestic apprenticeship, learning from their mothers the complete range of skills required to run an Amish household. The Supreme Court case, Wisconsin versus Yoder in 1972, established the legal right of Amish families to remove their children from compulsory education after 8th grade. The reasoning was that Amish education happens through living and doing rather than through institutions, and the court agreed. What a girl learns between 14 and marriage is arguably more practically comprehensive than anything a formal education provides, just oriented entirely toward a different set of demands. Rule number 12. Shunning is enforced for those who leave. The practice of meidung, or shunning, means that an Amish woman who leaves the community after baptism faces complete social severance from every person she has ever known. Her parents, her siblings, her childhood friends are all required to limit contact with her in ways that vary in severity between communities, but are never comfortable. This rule functions as the community's most powerful mechanism of cohesion and its most painful consequence for those who cannot remain. Rule number 13. The community always comes before the individual. Every rule on this list flows from this one. Amish women do not make decisions based on personal preference, individual fulfillment, or private ambition. Every choice, from the color of a dress to the timing of a pregnancy to the management of a disagreement, is filtered through the question of what serves the community and honors God. The self is not the organizing principle of an Amish woman's life. The community is. And within that community, many Amish women find something that an enormous number of modern women report searching for without finding: a clear sense of purpose, deep belonging, and a life that feels like it means something beyond the individual living it. Which of these 13 rules made you stop and think the longest? Leave it in the comments, because that is where the most interesting conversation always happens. And if this opened a window into a world you did not know existed right beside your own, subscribe and stay with us, because there is much more to uncover.